Empire Builders. My name is Sam Bryant from Bryant Taylor Law, and I'm here to talk about how to grow your wealth through business ownership. And despite what you may think, I actually am in the Halloween spirit, so for Halloween, at least for the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to be your legal advisor. And the legal advisor whose advice you actually follow, hopefully. Now, per the Florida Bar, I do have to tell you that any advice that I give you and anything we speak about does not create an attorney-client relationship. But if you do want one, we'll give you our information at the end of the video so you can contact us and hopefully we can develop one. So before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about myself. In addition to working for Bryant Taylor Law as a founding partner, I also co-founded a biotech startup that produces wearable technology for sports teams and athletes. And I also created a real estate company that invests in properties in Florida and Colorado. So as you can see, I'm actually an empire builder myself and beginning stages of mine on empire. So let's define wealth. When we talk about wealth, we're not just talking about being a millionaire. We're talking about the flexibility and the freedom to really pursue your life goals. So if your personal wealth is an apple basket per se, and your apples are your money, you can go out and fill your basket with apples and spend your time and energy and refill it, eat it until it's empty. Or you can find a way to develop an apple tree that produces apples automatically that you can just fill your apple basket with while you do other things with your time that you really want to do. And that's why we build empires. So if someone asks me, how do I build my wealth? And how do I build it in the fastest way possible? If you don't come from money and you haven't won the lottery, I tell you start a business. Now there's a difference between a business and being self-employed. It's perfectly fine to be self-employed, but don't expect to get to your level of wealth by just working for yourself. What you want to do is you want to create a business that can scale and that can eventually be sold or passed down. And there's two ways to do that. There's two ways to create a business that can eventually be sold or eventually passed down to create generational wealth. And we'll get to that in a little second. The best part of being a lawyer, working with business owners and investors, is I get to see what makes my clients successful. A lot of our clients actually come to us having already started a business and are now looking for a second endeavor. We also have clients who are new to the whole business world and don't exactly know how to get started. So in my experience, I've noticed our main two things that our successful clients have in common. And these are called processes. There's internal processes and external processes. So I'll give you an example. I have a client that has a tattoo parlor or a tattoo shop. He has a set of processes in his company that is going to allow him to sell that company for millions of dollars. He's actually in the process right now. When you create a business and you eventually want to sell it, the seller is going to want to do what they call due diligence. Because the buyer of your business is going to want to be able to operate your business in the same way that you did without you. And you can't do that without building a set of internal processes. So for our client, he's built his processes, built a business, and is now ready to sell it. Once that business sells, he can now use the proceeds to do whatever else he wants to do. And he does have other ambitions. And we're going to help him along this process of selling it and pursuing his other dreams. Now, these processes are important because without them, you don't reach your goals. You don't reach the reasons why you built your business in the first place. Again, there's only a couple reasons why people build businesses to begin with. It's to create freedom, create wealth, or pass down the business. So we have a client that's an investor. He wanted to invest in a restaurant. This restaurant was owned by a widow. Her husband started the restaurant and unexpectedly passed away. And now that she has the restaurant, she wants to just sell it and then pursue other things with her life. So our client comes to us and asks us to evaluate the restaurant and see if it's a good buy. The restaurant was located in a great area near the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It had a great clientele as far as we could see, and presented a great opportunity for our client to build his portfolio of restaurants. So we go to the restaurant and ask the broker for documents, any kind of policies and procedures that could allow us to evaluate the viability of our client taking over this restaurant. And so as an attorney, I'm looking for those processes, because the business, no matter how good it's doing now, means nothing to our client if he can't repeat that. So when I looked at the documents, and unfortunately, I ended up not recommending that restaurant as a buy for our client. And I didn't do that for several reasons. I looked at their sales processes, for example. Couldn't find a way for our client to replicate sales because it was a neighborhood restaurant. So the success of that restaurant was built on the reputation of the owner, who all the clients, or excuse me, all the patrons knew. Now that restaurant owner is gone, and there's no way that that business showed me or my client how they can replicate those sales if those patrons decided they wanted to leave. They may have marketing. I saw a breakdown of their accounting. I saw no way of showing, or at least I saw no way of the business showing how it was going to market to potential customers. They had $100 per year allocated to Facebook. That's it. So that showed me that they were just relying on word of mouth and the reputation of the owner. So again, I couldn't tell my client that this was a good buy because we had no way of replicating the marketing. And finally, their compliance. This was a restaurant that's heavily regulated by Florida, the state of Florida. They sell alcohol, they sell liquor. There is no way that I could tell if that restaurant owner was complying with Florida law. There's no records of their licenses. I had no way. I had to guess. I had to rely on the word of mouth of the previous owner. So I say all this to say that without those processes, that current owner now has to run a restaurant that she wanted to sell. And that was passed down to her from her husband. If you ask her, she owns a business, but I doubt that she's achieving her life goals. And that's what we don't want for you. So when we talk about our internal processes, there's a set of documents that you can have that you can leave today and start working on, so that if the opportunity ever comes to where you can buy or you can sell your business or pass it down, you have the ability to walk away with peace of mind with hopefully a whole lot of money and knowing that your business can operate without you. So we have your employment agreements. It's very important that your employees know their roles in your company. It's very important that they know the terms of their employment. And it's not just for your employees, it's for your managers. Because again, if we're building empires, you are not always going to be in charge of the responsibilities of your employees. You ideally are going to one day hire a manager who needs to understand the scope and the responsibilities of all your employees. You have your management agreements, your executives. Again, when you're an empire builder and you have your empire, you're going to have a circle of trust, hopefully a layer of managers and executives who can oversee your business when you're away. So if you decide to stay in your business, You can take a vacation knowing that your managers can handle what you do on a day-to-day basis. If you decide to sell your business, you can keep those managers in place so that the seller or the buyer knows that they have a viable business to continue. Your operating agreements. When you first form your company, are you forming it with the vision that for 10 years from now, it's going to be a 100-employee business that's going to sustain and maintain your goals and ambitions? Or are you just focused on, let me just form something right now for the time being? Unfortunately, a lot of people choose the latter, which is okay if you don't have the money and resources. But eventually you want to have the vision so that your corporate documents, your shareholders agreements, and your operating agreements reflect an actual empire, an actual sustainable business. So you have your management agreements, your employment agreements, and your operating agreements or shareholder agreements. These three documents are internal, or reflect an internal process that you can have documented and give to prospective buyers or managers to continue your business with or without you, which will allow you to pursue your other ideas and other goals. So running out of time, so fortunately I can't discuss the external processes, but if you visit our website, you'll learn more information about business ownership. You can read our blogs and our posts. Our partner, Bryant Taylor, actually has another video about getting out of non-competes so that you can take and start or grow your empire. So if you look in the link below and use the MEB code, Grow with MEB, feel free to call us, text us, email us, visit our website, and we'll be happy to give you a free 15-minute consultation. Again, happy Halloween, and hope you guys have a great day.